Hey.
Alright, so the first night of the 75th season of the NBA just wrapped up. I couldn't be more excited. I was so impatient trying to wait for these games to come tonight, but it was nice. I had a late class. Professor let me out a bit early. Was able to grab some food before the game started. It was good vibes all around, and the games were great. It all started with the Bucks receiving their championship rings from last season, and after that, the theme stayed. It was all Bucks the entire night, pretty much. Wire-to-wire victory. Nets were in it a few times, but overall, this Bucks team looks very scary. Now, obviously, there was no Kyrie. Drew Holiday left at halftime with a right heel contusion or foot contusion, something like that. But I think the obvious main takeaway from this game is that the rest of the league should be very, very scared right now, because this Bucks team, they are playing with the same, drive and hunger they had previously before winning the championship, but they're also playing with that championship swagger. So they're playing loose, they're playing confidently, and it was very, very noticeable against what many consider the second best or even best team in the East. Both Giannis and Middleton looked like they were working hard all off season. Giannis obviously has the pull-up jumper that we've been seeing in the preseason, and he pulled it out a few times tonight. Chris Middleton was looking awesome again, just as being that secondary shot creator. Was also doing a pretty damn good job on Kevin Durant on the defensive side of the ball. Had a few possessions where he really stood out and made some plays. Now, again, I don't know if that's going to be something that continues, but it's definitely a good first sign. From there, I'm very interested to see what Thanasis Antetokounmpo and Jordan Nwora are able to bring to this roster for a full season, because obviously one of the big headlines after these Bucks won the championship was that they lost PJ Tucker, who played a pretty integral role to that championship team, and ultimately him leaving this offseason left a huge hole. And a lot of people were, trying to understand how exactly the Bucks would be able to fill that role. But so far, after one game, it's looking like Thanasis can handle the defensive side of that, filling the shoes process, and then Jordan Nwora just brings so much more offensively than PJ Tucker could ever dream of. So all in all, I think those two could definitely do a good rotational job at helping to fill that PJ Tucker role. And then throw in the fact that Grayson Allen looked awesome in his first start with Milwaukee, and Pat Connaughton was getting buckets off the bench, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if later in the season we're looking back at this Milwaukee team and saying that they're even better than last year's team was that won the championship, just because I think everyone just got a little bit better, and they're all, again, just playing with the better confidence and better control. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, on the other hand, looked like they were playing at half speed for most of the game. James Harden's stat line looked fine, but outside of a few crazy step backs that I think we've grown accustomed to, he had a pretty suboptimal performance. Then you throw in the fact that Kevin Durant, although he finished with 32 points, it was kind of a quiet 32 points, and he did most of his damage in the second half. It took him quite a while to get going. Maybe it was just some sort of off night, and the fact that they were playing such a great defense like the Milwaukee Bucks. But I think it's pretty clear that they were missing Kyrie Irving tonight. Because you can make all the jokes in the world, but at the end of the day, this roster needs Kyrie Irving and his abilities to create shots for both himself and others, and to be able to get to the rim. Because outside of James Harden, you take him off the court, and Kevin Durant's more of a jump shot guy. And then after that, there's really no one else on this Nets team that's capable of getting to the rim and applying pressure outside of Cam Thomas, but he's not getting minutes yet, so. And then from there, again, another game one, day one issue type thing, but some of the minutes distributions were just really weird for the Nets. For starters, none of the plethora of bigs that are on this roster really had a great game tonight. I mean, BG was same old, okay. Nick Claxton got out-muscled this entire game, just wasn't a great matchup for him. LaMarcus Aldridge, in his return to the basketball court, he looked all right, and then Paul Millsap played one rotation, played 5 minutes, and then didn't see the floor the rest of the game. So again, just not a whole lot going well for that group. If you're looking for one positive, James Johnson did impress me in his time as being a small ball 5 and 4 or whatever position he is playing, which that definitely is a positive sign, seeing as they lost Jeff Green. James Johnson could likely be a replacement for that role, and he looked good. He looked like he had chemistry with some of the other players. But yeah, that whole situation with all those guys I just feel like it's going to be a huge mess for most of the year. And then also, Javon Carter getting 15 more minutes and Bruce Brown I feel like just shouldn't be a thing. But if you want to end on a positive note for the Nets, free agent signing Patty Mills looked absolutely awesome. Went 7-7 from 3. Saw some people on Twitter joking that he's currently on pace to shoot 574 of 574 on the whole season, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that and track that for the rest of the year. Now moving on to the second game and definitely more entertaining game of the night, we had the Warriors spoiling the new look Lakers debut in LA. And this game was definitely interesting because, at least to me, it seemed like the Lakers were in control for most of the game. I would tell around like late third quarter, early fourth quarter, because Jordan Poole just stepped up and went off. I think a lot of people will agree with me that he had the Jordan Poole truthers worried in the first half because he was missing some layups, he was making some turnovers, was not playing the greatest basketball by any means, but he definitely made up for it in the second half. The Jordan Poole agenda is still on. Happy to say that. God, I'm so excited for him. I truly think that as soon as he can consistently get to the foul line at a decent pace, he should be a lock for 20 points a night, and the sky's the limit from there, especially while Klay Thompson is still out and rehabbing. But overall, I was really just amazed by how well the Warriors were able to stick in this game and not let it become a blowout, despite the fact that Steph Curry had one of his worst shooting nights in quite a while. Although he did end up with a triple-double, which it's just kind of funny that Steph Curry ends up with a triple-double on a night where he doesn't shoot that well and the Warriors beat the Lakers. It's all great writing. But outside of that, I mean, I feel like it's pretty simple that the Warriors' ball movement was just infectious the entire night. I mean, they were literally passing up semi-open layups just to get even more open layups, and the amount of kickouts I saw from the paint to the three-point line was just ridiculous. And I mean, finishing with 30 assists in an NBA game is always a good sign and usually means that you get the win. And yeah, I would definitely say that the Warriors deserve this one because on offense, at least, they played some pretty great basketball. Especially the group of bigs that they were running at the 4 and 5 for most of the game. Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, and Bjelica. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. I've heard like 20 different pronunciations, so I'm just going to roll with it. But Bjelica was the main guy that, I mean, all of Twitter was blowing up for his performance because he played very well. It was interesting to see the Warriors put him at the 5 and run in lineups where he could basically just play that Draymond role, but just have a little bit more offense to his game. Definitely nowhere near as much defense, but at least on the offensive side of the ball, just him being able to put the ball on the floor and be an actual scoring threat is going to be huge for this Warriors offense. Now switching over to the Lakers side of things, the main storyline was that it was LeBron having a night, AD having a night, and the rest of the team just being a big old mess. So we'll start with the good stuff. LeBron looked as great as ever. He was controlling the game at his own will and his hitting shots. He started off the game with like no misses for the first quarter, and most notably to me was he hit 5 threes. And I don't know if this is just my eyes playing tricks on me because he was hitting so many shots, but his jump shot looks cleaner, at least faster than it has in the past. So that should definitely be something to keep your eye on as the season goes on because, I mean, he was letting it fly this tonight. And he was hitting them. As for AD, he was just super mobile on the defensive side of the ball, something that's always a joy to watch because when he's healthy and playing right, AD is easily one of the best help defenders in the entire NBA, and it was definitely on notice tonight. He was also back to hitting just some ridiculously contested shots, which, much like LeBron, is always just a joy to watch. Now, with the good stuff out of the way, and before we get into the bad stuff, I do just want to say I don't want to be too harsh because at least I was expecting this Lakers team to come out and have a rough start to the season. I was expecting them to probably take a good month or so to get acclimated to this roster. But yeah, there was still just a whole lot of head scratching worthy ideas. For starters, I keep on saying this, but I don't understand why DeAndre Jordan is starting in NBA basketball games in the year 2021. Quite literally, the only answer I can think of to that problem is that the Lakers just want him to preserve energy for their other bigs, just have another body that they could throw out there to bang in the paint at center. But if you're only going to play him for stretches of 6 minutes at the start of each half, I just don't see the point in having him hold a roster spot. From there, I'm not quite sure what your expectations were for Russell Westbrook heading into this game, but I can assure you that he probably under-delivered in this one. And unfortunately, Rajon Rondo was not much better. And even more unfortunately, they were even worse when they were on the court at the same time together, which, I mean, I'm just shocked that Frank Vogel had the balls to go out and play lineups with both Rondo and Westbrook. I mean, he must not have seen Lakers Twitter over the past month complaining about how if they saw that, they would immediately just hate the Lakers. And I mean, I'm right there with them. That's an awful lineup. Oh, but overall, just a lot of, just small picky stuff here and there for the Lakers. Again, I fully expect them to figure it out at some point further down the line in the regular season, and fully expect them to become a true contender by the time playoffs come around, obviously assuming that they're healthy. But unfortunately for Lakers and Lakers fans, until that point comes, it's looking like they're going to be relying on LeBron and AD to do a lot of work for some of these nights, which, again, if you're a Lakers fan, that's probably not what you were hoping to hear or see heading into this season, because I mean, you don't want to waste those guys in the regular season. You want them for the playoffs. Yeah, this Lakers team will be a joy to keep up with for this season. It was a good night one. That's all for now. And if you've made it to this point in the video, then congratulations, you're a real one. Now, if you enjoyed this video, maybe think about hitting the subscribe button. Should be somewhere in this general direction. Or if you're not sure yet, maybe check out another video which should be in this general direction. Either way, thank you for watching.